In this episode, we're going to meet one of the most interesting characters in Roman history, the Stoic philosopher Publius Rutilius Rufus, who was driven into exile by the Emperor Nero for his relentless battle against corruption. Our story begins in 62 AD when Rutilius was sent to the city of Athens as the imperial legate, kind of like a governor, if you will, tasked with the job of collecting taxes. Now, Rutilius was no ordinary man. He was a former cavalryman who had distinguished himself in many military campaigns before becoming an aedile and then a praetor, the two highest magistrates in the Roman Republic. He was also a friend of the philosopher Epictetus, who would later write the discourses, and was a contemporary of the Stoics Musonius Rufus and Cato the Younger. And so it was that Rutilius went to Athens not just as a tax collector, but also as a representative of Rome's political elite and a friend of its leading philosophers. They were shocked that Rutilius would break the unwritten rules of the game and punish one of their own. In response, Rutilius was summoned to the imperial court in Rome to explain his actions. He had turned down bribes, refused to accept gifts, and lived very frugally as a magistrate. And so in 65 AD, Rutilius was exiled from Rome and from all of Italy. He spent his last years in Athens, the city where it all began, continuing to philosophize and write his books, which unfortunately have been lost to history. If you enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe. You can also follow me on social media to get updates on new episodes and to share your feedback. Until next time, remember that you have the power to transform your life by the habits you choose to adopt. So he couldn't be accused of being motivated by greed or self-interest. His actions were seen as a threat to the established order, and the influential people in Rome were afraid that if Rutilius was allowed to keep his position, he would expose their corrupt practices to the whole province. But almost immediately, he encountered something that would change his life forever. But he was a Stoic, and the Stoics don't back down in the face of injustice. He refused to apologize and instead launched a blistering attack against the corrupt practices of the Roman elite. He accused them of squandering public money, exploiting the poor, and bribing officials to turn a blind eye to their abuses. As he traveled through the cities of the Roman province of Asia Minor, he noticed that people were not paying their taxes. So he went to see Pythagoras and told him that if he didn't stop exploiting legal loopholes to avoid taxes, he would put him in jail. Pythagoras, however, was undeterred. He told Rutilius that he wasn't doing anything wrong. His example showed them that even the most powerful emperor could be resisted, that the truth could not be silenced, and that even in the darkest times, hope must be kept alive. It was just a clever use of the law, and that if Rutilius did put him in jail, he would become a martyr for the cause of tax evasion. And those who weren't paying them weren't being punished. And so Rutilius decided to collect what was owed to Rome. Now, the rich Romans and Greek aristocrats didn't want to pay their taxes either. So they hired a very smart lawyer named Pythagoras. Pythagoras argued that since the taxes were collected from property, if they got rid of their property, then they wouldn't have to pay any taxes. And the judges bought it. So the rich Romans and Greeks started selling all their property and getting away with not paying their taxes. Rutilius realized that this was a ridiculous situation and that he needed to do something about it. So Rutilius had him arrested anyway. This caused quite a stir among the Roman elite in Greece because everyone knew that Pythagoras was just playing the game that they all played. Now, Rutilius could have easily gotten away with this if he had just apologized and promised to be more careful in the future. To make matters worse, Rutilius had a reputation for being incorruptible himself. They managed to convince Nero that Rutilius was a dangerous man who needed to be silenced. But Rutilius's story didn't end there. His ideas continued to inspire generations of Stoics who faced persecution for their beliefs. I'm the host. Thank you so much for watching this episode.